Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel and the third episode of I Am Talk. Today, we are going to talk about the questions which we generally have when we go out searching for internships and jobs. For example, how do we find internships? How do network and build relations with potential recruiters? Some resume tips, and last but not the least, we'll try to understand the answer to these questions in a recruiter's perspective when they evaluate your profile. So, aren't you all excited? To answer those questions, we have none other than Setu Vinod, who is a recruiter by profession and has an experience over 4 years in this field. Welcome, Setu, to the third episode of I Am Talk.
Hi Pranav. Hi everyone. I hope you all are doing good.
We all are. So, to start with, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. I was born in Gujarat. I have been brought up in Doha, Qatar, where I did my schooling. So till class 12th, I was there. Post which I moved to India for my bachelor's. I pursued my BTech in computer engineering from NIT Surat, and after that, I moved to pursue my MBA in HR, which I did from Symbiosis Institute of Business Management. And post that, I started working as a technical recruiter at IPsoft. Now it is known as Amelia. So it is basically a product firm. We are into automation products. We have a couple of products, like for example, one is Amelia. It's humanoid. So majorly I hire for the machine learning NLP folks, along with the other support roles as well. Of course, I hire developers that would be into Java or full stack developers and other support roles. So it's been around 4.5 years here. It is my first company. So yeah, that's about me.
Yeah, that's a lot of experience. Right? We are glad we could use this for our viewers' experience.
Sure, I hope
So,
I'll be of some help.
Diving into the questions directly, what kind of skills do you look for in a candidate when you're recruiting? And are tech skills enough?
Okay, if we look at hiring, this is of course role specific, but I would like to give a more of a general overview. So if we look at freshers and work ex candidates, so let me just share my screen. Just give me a moment.
Yes.
All right. So the kind of skills we look for in a candidate would be, of course, role specific. So I would just give you a general overview between fresher and how do we hire a fresher and how do we hire an experienced professional. Okay, so here we have two columns. One is for fresher and experience. One is for the experienced person. So to hire a fresher, we majorly focus on the soft skills. So the technical skills we develop in a candidate once he joins. So there would be, as you may be aware of, every company gives you 6 to 8 months of on the job trainings. So during that time, we train the candidate on the technical skills that we would require him to work on any of the projects. So regarding the soft skills, this is not basically something which you can develop over a period of just 6 or 8 months, right? We have been developing this since the time we joined school, or probably since the time we are born. So these are the skills which take a longer time, and we expect candidates to already have them when they onboard us. So this is about it. Also, we look more into. So it's not that we completely ignore the technical skills. Of course, we do want to know how much knowledge he has, how much potential he has, and how enthusiastic he is to learn. So if the learning attitude is there, if the candidate is proactive and he's showing potential, to learn, then we would definitely go for him than a candidate who has average or low soft skills and very good coding skills, for example. So obviously, a fresher who has better soft skills would be preferred.
Okay.
And moving to the experienced folk side, so here, since the person already has exposure to the corporate world, so we understand that he would already have acquired the the soft skills over a period of time. So at this point, we look at the technical skills. Now, of course, because he's also going to impart those technical skills to his juniors. So that is the reason we look for, the tech skills majorly on for the experienced folks. And one more thing here. So since we are looking at two different kind of skill sets for the freshers and experienced, the hiring process for them also is going to vary. So I'll just give you a very brief overview on that.
Sure.
All right. So if we look at the freshers, the process starts from the GD, that is a group discussion. So over here, we judge the candidate on the basis of various parameters, like one would be soft skills, one would be his teamwork, his leadership skills, and etc. So so most of the times, what I have observed in my experience is that sometimes candidates get too aggressive, and they want to put forth their point, and they start shouting, or So basically, this is something which has to be avoided at all costs, because this is a group discussion. It is not a debate that we are going for. You are required to give your teammates a chance to speak. So this is also something that we see. There are certain candidates, 2-3 candidates who would always stand out. Let's say if someone is fighting over some points, then there would be one candidate who would try to resolve that. That is something we look for. That is, the candidate is standing out in terms of he's trying to resolve a conflict. So their conflict resolution comes into place. Then he's also acting as a leader. So that's how we judge on his leadership skill. Like, for example, if some candidate is not able to speak up, he is nervous, or he's not able to put forth his point. So there would definitely be someone in a GD group who would try to include him in it by saying that our fellow teammate is not able to answer this. So this shows how good he is at keeping the team together. He's listening to the teammates. He's taking their inputs. So these kind of things it allows us to judge how are the leadership skills of the candidates. So this happens in GD. The next would be, so this entire hiring process is similar in most organizations. I have given a very general and brief overview. Of course, there are many steps in between. So in the next would be your written test. So there would be, they would test on your coding, verbal and logical reasoning. So coding would be based on, of course, whatever languages you have learned, be it in C, C++, Python, Java, etc. There would be verbal testing, wherein your communication skills would be tested, your written communication skills, and logical, so that we understand what is the thought process of the person. The next round would be your technical discussion, wherein the questions regarding your college projects, the projects that you undertake within 4 years of your BTech or any other branch, those would be asked to you. Your technical skills, they might ask you to do a bit of coding, like your sequence or reverse sequence. So these are the questions which generally get asked. So I'm just saying it like if you have a sequence, how do you reverse it, or loop questions. All these questions generally get asked, and post that is your HR discussion, wherein your salary negotiation or any other cultural fit and all of that will be tested. Next is your experienced professional. This is somewhat similar, but except that GD will not be there, of course. We already know they have good soft skills since they have already been in the corporate world. So that would be with your coding round. We would be starting that goes on for around an hour. There would be some 5 to 6 questions, and post that would be your technical discussion, which would happen with the team lead or with the team members. Next would be a managerial round. Now this managerial round, if you're looking for leadership positions, then they would check your skills on conflict resolution, your leadership, how good you are at team handling, all of these, and post that HR discussion. So yeah, this is just a basic general overview of both the processes.
So generally, these things are which one is asked for when he is selected. So before that, coming to that, there's every process starts with their resumes, right? So it's a common myth that HRs generally look at your resume for not more than 10 seconds. So how true is that?
Okay, so I would say I would give you an example for that. Then later, after that, I will answer your question. So let's move to this. All right. So are you aware of ATS? Do you know what is an application tracking system?
No.
All right. So it is more of a recruitment term, but I just thought if you are aware of it, yeah. So basically, an ATS is something like Google itself. Okay. Now it helps you filtering the resume. So application tracking system is what most companies use. Most of the MNCs definitely use. I'm not sure about the startups. So what happens here is, let's say a recruiter posts so and so job on the portal. Let's say I posted 2-3 jobs on Naukri, on Monster. So now when the candidates apply to these jobs, so let's say 1,000, 2,000, I don't know, could be any number, right? So I have given an example over here of 100. Let's say 100 candidates have applied to that job. Now all these 100 resume will be put into ATS, and now I'm going to set certain keywords. For example, if I'm looking for a Java developer, I'm going to put in Java, Spring, Hibernate, whatever. Okay, these are the keywords that I'm going to put in ATS. Now, what ATS is going to do, it is going to scan each and every resume line by line, looking for these particular keywords. Now, once it finds the keywords, it is going to pick that resume and put it through the next round. Okay, so now let's say out of 100 resume, ATS has tracked, it has scanned and liked about, filtered about 25 resume. Now, these 25 resume are what comes to a human recruiter. So let's say I'm the recruiter, I am getting 25 resume, and mind you, this is for one role. So we deal with around 4 to 5 roles in a day. So you can imagine I would be having, even if it is minimum of 4, I would have 100 resume to look at, right? So this is a very minimum number that I'm giving to you just for a basic understanding. So now I have around 25 resume to go through. Now you tell me, if you have so many resumes, our working time is, let's say, 8 to 9 hours. Are you going to be able to sit and read everything for 5 to 10 minutes? It's not going to happen, right? So I'm going to read through, scan through basically for about 10 to 15 seconds. Just going to see, for example, if it's for Python developer, whether the person has actually had any experience in Python, whether he has done any projects in Python, because most of the times what candidates do is just to trick the ATS, they put in the keywords, right? So that we'll go through their resume. So it's a double work for us, but they do that. So I'll have to sit and individually look, okay, now is there actually the person has done the work or not? So I'm going to spend 10 to 15 seconds and I'm going to take out, let's say, 10 to 15 resume. Now out of these 10, I have to sit and read these 10 carefully. I have to go through it in a detail, because these are the folks that I would be giving a call to. So now this is for one role. If I have 5 roles, I have to call 50 people and I have to look at their resume, right? So it's going to take a very long time. So yes, it is true. It is not a rumor. We do look at, the resumes for about 10 to 15 seconds. But of course, we go through it in detail as well. That would be in a later stage.
So yeah. Okay. So how do you make, like, what would your advice be to students how to make a attractive resume? All
right. So by attractive, I would use a word as ATS friendly resume, because if you don't make an ATS friendly resume, your chance of getting the job just cuts off, right? Because the system is going to reject your resume.
Right.
So here are the key pointers I have figured. So first would be, you need to use the right keywords. In case you want to build an ATS friendly resume, you need to use the right keywords. So let's say again for Java, or let me take my example, technical recruiter. So I would be putting in keywords like recruitment, sourcing, interviewing. These are the words that I need to put somewhere in my resume whenever I'm trying to give a summary of my job roles. I need to use these particular keywords for the ATS to be able to pick on them and shortlist my resume. Okay, now next would be adding relevant keywords. Now, as I told you, there are some who simply, let's say if it's a sales position, sometimes they have not had any experience in sales, but they'll just simply put in the keyword sales so that, the ATS will try to pick that resume. So that is a waste of effort for the recruiter also, and it leaves a pretty bad impression. So I would suggest that you put keywords which are relevant to your profile. Don't just put it because, you want your resume to be picked by the ATS. The third very important thing is do not apply to multiple jobs at the same company. So this is like, let's say we have jobs for, multiple jobs open, and you have, a little skills or skills here and there of those particular jobs. Now, when you're applying to all the positions, it would clearly mean that you're not sure what you want to do. Also, it shows a lack of interest. When you're submitting, it's like you're just clicking submit to all. So it shows a lack of interest. It also shows that you're not really sure of what you want to do, which role you want to go for. So that is a complete no-no. But now let's say, for example, there's a company, let's say Amazon, and it has two roles, like your Java developer role, and it also has the Java support role. So these two roles are interlinked. Like, sometimes the Java developer can do the support role. Sometimes the Java support person can do a development role. So at this case, what you should do is, okay, you can apply for both the roles, but you need to tweak your resume in such a way that if you're applying for the Java developer role, then tweak your resume in a way that you're mentioning your development experience as well. You're mentioning more of that than your support experience. By support, I mean you would be doing your application support engineering kind of role, like you would be working with Java support, Unix, SQL, all this. You would not be doing direct development kind of thing, right? So, likewise, you need to do the same if you are applying for a support role. You need to tweak your resume accordingly. The next very important thing is to use the correct format. So over the past 4 years of my experience, I have seen that, candidates' resume might be really good, but the format, like, I don't know whether they are making the resume online or how do they come and put JPG format. Okay. So now if you're putting in JPG, if I'm searching on Naukri, I'm not going to be able to find any keywords. So I'll keep on searching. Like if I'm looking for a Java person, I'm going to search Java. Now, if I'm not able to find that, nobody has the patience to, download it, read it line by line and find where is Java, right? We don't have that much time. So that's the reason most people, and, they get unnoticed, most of the profiles. So preferably it is a doc file that you need to use. I know PDF sounds better, it looks better, but to search keywords in that also gets a bit difficult. So you can use a doc file.
Okay.
Coming to the next point, I've seen many resumes which are, very colorful and it's just very flashy. So you should definitely avoid that. Your resume is something very professional. It needs to be neat and to the point. It needs to be precise. So again, for that, the freshers and versus experienced resume would be different. I can just give you a quick overview how you can, if you're a fresher, how you can, what are the points you should include, and if you're an experienced person, what are the points you should include. So for freshers, you can start with your education, because that's the most important thing, of course, and followed by your projects, because since you do not have any work experience, your projects, live projects or your internship is what's going to speak for your profile. So you can add those. Also make sure that your resume is not more than 1 page, especially if you're a fresher. Okay, you can make a CV separately if you want to, put in more details. So also try to avoid putting in a lot of hobbies. I understand it is important for you. You can put 3-4, but don't make it all about your hobbies. And choose wisely. If it's not fitting in your in 1 page, then you should choose wisely what points you want to include. Let's say, for example, if you have won some certification in dance or singing, and also you have won something in a hackathon, so you should be able to differentiate and, of course, put in the hackathon, because that's what's going to get you the job. So differentiate whichever, prioritize basically, and tweak it accordingly. Now, for an experienced person, you would be starting with your most recent job, okay, wherever you're currently working, the roles and responsibilities, don't forget the keywords. And of course, objective is something you should never miss out on. So you start with that, followed by the past companies that you worked on, then your education, any of the, regarding the certifications, skill sets in particular languages. These are the things. Now, don't forget to mention your contact details as well, because this is something I have noticed. People just miss out on putting their phone numbers or email IDs. So, yeah.
So just a follow-up question with this. Most of the students have this doubt. What is a CV and what is a resume?
Okay, so resume is basically, it should be a very short and precise, document of your entire journey. So it has to be one page. Now, for freshers, mostly it is supposed to be a resume only. There is no CV. You don't have much to include unless you have done a lot of research papers. So in that, you might want to make a CV. So now CV is basically something, a document which has about 4 to 5 pages, or how many ever pages. So that comes in when you have a lot of experience. Now, let's say you have 5 to 6 years of experience. So you have worked in so many companies, or you might have worked on so many skills, so many projects. So you can't include all of that in one particular page, right? So that's when you go ahead and you make a CV, and that would include every single detail on your journey so far, professional journey so far.
So that's the difference.
Yeah.
So what would your advice be for students how to find a job on LinkedIn?
Okay, so for that, let me just show it to you on LinkedIn itself. Just a second.
Okay.
All right. Are you able to view this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now if I have to search for a job, I would go to here, this tab here, jobs. Okay. Now I would enter, let's say I'm looking for a recruiter job. Comes here. And you put in, so yeah, here are different filters that you can put. So the date posted would be, I would prefer past week, because, or past month, that would mean that the job is recently posted and it's not yet filled. So you would have better chances to get in there. So select that. You can also choose your experience level. Now, if you are looking for maybe 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 years, that would be your entry level. If you are 3 to 5 years, that would be your associate. So you can search accordingly. The company, if you have any dream company, so that way. Now you have multiple options here. All these options, they are all looking for recruiters. So you can also choose so here it's India. Let's make it as Bangalore. Okay, so now I have everything in Bangalore. So I go here. This is something apply on LinkedIn. So it's very easy to apply jobs on LinkedIn because of this particular feature. So you can basically directly apply from your LinkedIn profile itself. So it takes your LinkedIn profile as a resume. Also, what I would recommend is there's this job alert which you can turn on. So whenever you do this daily or weekly, you will get daily updates about any recruiter who posts such kind of jobs that you are looking for. So that will help you. You can download the LinkedIn app and use it accordingly. So you can make it as emails and notifications and daily. So you would get notifications every day, right? So yeah, I think it's pretty easy to search from here.
So how do you recruiters use LinkedIn for recruitment?
All right. So LinkedIn, we usually have a premium account, but right now I do not have it because of COVID. So the hiring has reduced considerably. So we are just using Naukri as of now. So I can show it to you on Naukri. It is pretty much similar. Let me just share the screen. Yeah. Okay. So let's say, for example, I'm looking for a UX designer. You want me to do it for a fresher or experienced folk?
Fresher would do.
Okay, fine. I'm looking for a fresher who has these particular skills: Python, Linux, MySQL, JavaScript. Okay. So this is what a recruiter would put in their in the portal. So the experience would be 0 to 1, Bangalore. And in the educational details, we would put in the specific UG qualifications as BTech. So now what I am going to do is, this is basically active in. So active in means how often, like when was the last time the person or the candidate has logged in. Okay, so this is why it is very important that daily, in case if you're searching for a job, do not just keep your Naukri profile. You need to log into it daily. So if you do not, let's say if you don't log into it in 30 days and you're still looking for a job, but your profile will not be visible to me if I click on 15 days. So active in 15 days will show only the people who have logged in within 15 days time. So now we have a list of profiles for freshers. So as you can see, I have around 6,000 to 6,700 profiles. So what I'm going to do now, so as you see this yellow highlight, it is all the keywords that I have entered. So since we entered fresher, it has come up here. It's at BTech. So they have given me profiles from BTech who have done BTech, and then there's Python, Linux, MySQL. Okay, so although there is PHP and everything else, but the highlighted ones are the keywords that I am looking for. Okay, so now for your profile to appear on the first page of Naukri, what you need to do is you need to log in daily. You need to keep your profile active. So here it shows over here, as you can see, active on 3rd May. So that is today. Now modified on 2nd May. So the more you keep it active and the more modifications you make, your profile would jump up to the first page of Naukri, which is very important, because of course we are not going to look at all the 6,000 profiles. We are only going to look at the first two, 3 pages. So that is the reason why I would suggest everybody to log in once, even if you make a little bit of modifications, like let's say you can remove, you can add some more skills, or you might add a hobby that way, add a hobby. So that way your profile would be, it would jump up to the first page, first 2, 3 pages of Naukri. So yeah, this is similar to LinkedIn. The same thing happens there. We search in a similar way. Just make sure that you enter the correct keywords. That should do majority of your work.
Wow, that's a wonderful insight.
Yeah.
So last question. What are your tips on how to build networks and relations with people on LinkedIn, and how can we leverage them?
Okay. All right. So what we can do is on LinkedIn, basically, if we see, for example, any recruiter, let's talk about my experience. So I see many people, dropping me a message, pinging me continuously that, hey, is there any job available? So I get daily a lot of messages, maybe 50, I don't know. Okay, so it's like I cannot sit and read all the messages, right? So I would give you one tip here, that add people. So for example, if you're working, let's say, you are in your 3rd year. Now you have 1 year to complete your BTech. You have just finished your 3rd year and you have 1 year to complete your BTech. From that time itself, start looking for people who are in the field that you want to work for. Okay, let's say you are more interested into, let's say you are interested to go to IBM or Amazon. Then make sure that you search for people who search for recruiters and also technical folks who are in IBM currently working there, and start connecting with them. This is proactive connection. Just connect with them, and don't just connect. You need to drop a note to them, like I'm in so and so. I'm in the 3rd year, and I would like to just stay connected with you. You can write in any message and just connect with them. So this will show that, okay, you are not just asking for help all the time, right? You're just wanting to build a connection. You're wanting to build a relationship, long-lasting relationship. So now by the time you have an entire year to follow them, to understand their activities, to see what they are doing, to talk to them, interact more basically. So once that 1 year is over, and while you're ready to look at jobs, to search jobs, by then you would have built that relationship with this person. So you can easily go ahead and then ask them that, okay, so this is, I'm looking for so and so job. So if you could refer me, it would be great. So that will not look like, you're just begging for help and you just looking to look for a job. Basically, you're building a relationship there. So it will look better, and also since the person is connected to you since a year, he would also be looking at all the projects you have done, or if any updates you have posted on LinkedIn. So it would be like you would be in their mind for a long time. It would be like a relationship, right? So that is very important, that you need to keep in touch, you need to follow their activities, and not just ping them when you need a job or something. And this is the same for even starting a new college. So don't just ping the seniors when you are looking for a job. Connect with them prior. Connect with them before you join the college. So you would have 2 years to build that network. Okay, so this would be one small tip. So again, coming to LinkedIn, I will just show you how you can add people from same field. Okay, so here, let's say, for example, we have IBM. Okay, I'm going to write IBM plus recruiter. So I'm going to get all the recruiters that are working in IBM. Here's the list. Now, what I would do is just open their profile and go to connect and add a note. Please do not just connect with everybody without adding a note. This is a very important step. Just write to them, wish them luck. Just write like you would like to stay connected, and we can mutually benefit from each other. Just write anything, but anything positive, and drop them a note, and you can connect with them. So yeah, that's about it.
So before leaving, any last tips you would like to give our students who are finding their internships again on the resume?
Okay, so I have already told you regarding what all information you should put in the resume, but I would like to share one resume building tool with you guys. So it is on LinkedIn itself. I'm sure most of you all must not be knowing about it. So I will just show it to you. All right, so you go to your profile, and there is a section here, more. You select that and you'll get a build a resume. Okay, you select that and you can upload a resume. Let's say I already have one here. Okay, one second. Okay, so now we've uploaded this resume. Let's just give it a title. Since I'm a recruiter, I'll just put it as recruiter. So this is my resume, current resume that I have prepared without using any tools. And now we're going to open it with Resume Builder. All right. So now what this does is it picks up your keywords that you have mentioned in the resume, and it also suggests a few other keywords that you could use in your resume. So as you can see from my resume, they have picked up these keywords like hiring, recruiting, human resource, onboarding, finance. Okay. Now suggested keywords, they have given me sourcing, they have given me screening, technical recruiting. So these words you can possibly add in your resume for a better reach or better possibility for the ATS to pick up your resume. So this tool is specifically designed so that it is basically ATS friendly. Okay, so now apart from this, you can just go about editing from here. So it's pretty easy. You can just edit and finally when you're done, you can just preview it. So it will show you a proper resume which is ATS friendly. All right.
Wow.
So I hope this tool helps you guys.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Setu, for answering all those questions so wonderfully.
Thank you, Pranav.
So I'm sure these answers will benefit our viewers and they get their dream jobs and internships.
I hope so too. All the best to everybody.
Yeah. With that, if you guys felt this video was helpful, please leave your comments down below. I love reading them. I will also put mine and Setu's LinkedIn profile links down below so that you can ping us and have a conversation over there too. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time. See ya.
Bye-bye.